Hi all, topic for today is prepositions. Is it any wonder that prepositions create such troubles for students for whom English is a second language? We say we are at the hospital to visit a friend who is in the hospital. We lie in bed but on the couch. We watch a film at the theater but on television. For native speakers, these little words present little difficulty, but try to learn another language, any other language, and you will quickly discover that prepositions are troublesome wherever you live and learn. Why are words like on, at, for, and about so tricky for learners of English, and how can teachers help? Adam Simpson, winner of the British Council's Teaching English Blog Award, explains prepositions and their importance in English. Prepositions are tricky little beasts. The relative shortness of the words, most are 6 letters or under, and their often misplaced role in the overall scheme of things. Why should prepositions be less important than nouns, adjectives or verbs? Mean that we should treat them carefully and perhaps give them more time in the classroom than is usually the case. What exactly are prepositions and how are they used in English? In a list of English prepositions you will find very common words such as in, up, behind, from, and with. Prepositions hold a privileged position as parts of speech in that they are a closed class. In other words, they are a select group of words that don't accept new members to their club. This is in contrast to nouns, adjectives and verbs, which welcome new additions to their respective groups all the time. What are prepositions? A preposition describes a relationship between other words in a sentence. In itself, a word like in or after is rather meaningless and hard to define in mere words. For instance, when you do try to define a preposition like in, or, between, or, on, you invariably use your hands to show how something is situated in relationship to something else. Prepositions are nearly always combined with other words in structures called prepositional phrases. While prepositions are limited in number, they are important because they act as vital markers to the structure of a sentence. They mark special relationships between persons, objects, and locations. For this reason, we should think carefully about how we incorporate the teaching and learning of prepositions into our classes. What problems can prepositions cause for learners of English and their teachers? It's very difficult to use prepositions correctly in English, and they present a number of problems for both teachers and learners. First, most prepositions, especially the common ones, have several different functions. The preposition at, for example, has as many as 18 different functions, depending on which dictionary you consult. As vocabulary items in their own right, prepositions can therefore present a major challenge, and it's not unusual for learners of English to ask teachers to explain what a word such as at means. Second, there is no logical way of deciding which preposition goes with a particular noun, verb or adjective. Consider these examples: the reason for, arrive at, angry with somebody, on a train. In many instances, the correct preposition cannot be guessed, so the expression must be learned as a whole. The problem is compounded when a particular vocabulary item, again it's those commonly used ones that are often guilty, flirts with many different prepositions, making teaching and learning a longer process than we may initially account for. Consider the adjective, available. As a teacher, which of the following would you prioritize? Finally, learners' native language can get in the way of the learning process and interfere with correct English usage. This is perhaps never more true than in the form of prepositional errors. For example, some expressions in English do not use a preposition but the same expression in another language does, and vice versa. In my teaching context, where the majority of learners are native Turkish speakers, I constantly hear sentences like, "He married with her," "I hate from that," and "I accessed to the internet." Another problem I regularly encounter among Turkish learners relates to the multiplicity of uses of particular prepositions. Turkish has one preposition serving the same purpose as in, on, and, at in English, making it difficult for my learners to distinguish between their various uses. Kinds of preposition, based on their use and based on their construction. Based on the use, they can be classified as place, time, and movement. There are 8 kinds of prepositions: simple, compound, double, disguised, phrasal, participle, detached, appropriate. What is a preposition of place? A preposition of place is a preposition which is used to refer to a place where something or someone is located. There are only 3 prepositions of place, however they can be used to discuss an almost endless number of places. Why do we need prepositions? Prepositions of place allow you to be very specific when talking about where action takes place in stories or when discussing important details for communication purposes. Common preposition of place at. A preposition of place which is used to discuss a certain point in. A preposition of place which is used to discuss an enclosed space. On, a preposition of time which is used to discuss a surface. Preposition, at is to point out specific time. I will meet you at 12 p.m. used to indicate a place. There is a party at the clubhouse. Used to indicate an email address. Please email me at abc@defg.com. Used to indicate an activity. He laughed at my acting. Uses of. On, used to express a surface of something. I put an egg on the kitchen table. Used to specify days and dates. The garbage truck comes on Wednesdays. Used to indicate a part of the body. The stick hit me on my shoulder. Used to indicate a device or machine, such as a phone or computer. He is on the phone right now. Uses of. In, used for unspecific times during a day, month, season, year. She always reads newspapers in the morning. Used to indicate a location or place. She looked me directly in the eyes. Used to indicate a shape, color, or size. This painting is mostly in blue. At use at for the time. I always wake up at 7 a.m. Let's meet at 5 for a coffee. On, use on for days and dates. It's his birthday on Sunday. The conference is on the 10th of March. In, use in with weeks, months, years and seasons. She retired in May. I'll be back in 3 weeks. Paul was born in 1990. For, use for with a period of time, length of time. I've been living here for 6 months. Since, use since with the start of a period of time. I've been living in Brighton since January. By, use by when we want to say, not later than, or any time until this point, a deadline. My mother said I have to be home by 7 p.m. What are prepositions of movement? Prepositions of movement show movement from one place to another place. These prepositions always describe movement, and we usually use them with verbs of motion. The most common preposition of movement is the preposition to, which describes movement in the direction of something. Prepositions of movement show movement from one place to another place. These prepositions always describe movement, and we usually use them with verbs of motion. The most common preposition of movement is the preposition to, which describes movement in the direction of something. Toward, s. The preposition towards is used to say that someone or something moves, looks, faces, in the direction of someone or something. Examples. She pushed her face towards him. She was carrying a suitcase and walking towards. Through. The preposition through is used when we talk about movement from one side to another but, in something, such as long grass or a forest. Examples. David walked slowly through the woods. The Charles River flows through Boston. Into. The preposition into is used to talk about the movement that enters a space, usually with a verb that expresses movement. Examples. Don't put new wine into old bottles. He looked straight into her eyes. Over. The preposition over refers to movement at a higher level than something else. It also can be used when talking about movement across a surface. Examples. He jumped over the wall. A beautiful white bird flew over the lake. Across. The preposition across is used when talking about movement from one side of something to the other which has sides or limits such as a city, road or river. It is also used to when something touches or stretches from one side to another. Examples. The boys swam across the lake.